Settle in now, and let the world outside gently fade. Allow the rhythm of your own breath to become a quiet anchor in the stillness, a soft and steady beat in the theater of your mind. We are about to embark on a journey, not of distance, but of possibility. A journey to a place that exists only in a quiet question, a whisper of what might have been. Picture in your mind's eye a familiar image, the earth as seen from a great and silent height. A perfect sphere of swirling white clouds, deep blue oceans, and the familiar, earthy patchworks of continents. You can trace them with a thought: the rugged spine of the Americas, the vast expanse of Asia, the ancient, sun-baked heart of Africa. You see the white caps of the poles, the lonely southern continent of Antarctica, and the shifting sea ice of the Arctic Ocean. It is all there, just as you have always known it. It feels complete, a finished map, a solved puzzle. But what if it is not? What if the map you hold in your mind, the one charted by centuries of exploration and confirmed by satellites, is missing a piece? Not a small island, or a minor archipelago, but an entire continent, slumbering under the polar sky, forgotten by time and tide. What if, nestled within the icy crown of our world, there lay a landmass as vast as Australia, a final secret held by the planet itself? This is not a question of history as it was written, but of history as it could have been. It is an invitation to imagine a world subtly different, yet profoundly changed. A world where the great age of discovery never truly ended, where one last, immense mystery remained, veiled not by distance, but by its own extraordinary nature. We often think of our world as fully known, every corner documented, every peak measured, every abyss sounded. We have sent our machines to the stars and our submersibles to the crushing depths. There is a certain comfort in this sense of completion, but also a quiet sadness, a nostalgia for a time when dragons and sea monsters lurked on the edges of the map. This journey is an answer to that nostalgia. It is a voyage to the edge of the known world, and then a single, quiet step beyond. We will peel back the curtain of ice and fog to speculate on the existence of Silentia, the forgotten polar continent. We will explore its strange and silent landscapes, the life that might have evolved in its profound isolation, and the echoes of a past so ancient it predates human memory. This is a story about the power of the unknown, about the beauty of a world that still holds secrets. It is a reminder that the largest uncharted territories are sometimes the ones we fail to even look for, the blank spaces we have convinced ourselves do not exist. So, let your mind relax, let the weight of the day fall away, and come. Let us travel north, past the familiar shores, past the grinding packs of ice, toward a persistent, shimmering wall of fog on the horizon. Let us go to the place that time forgot, and wonder, together, what we might find in its silent, frozen heart. The air grows colder now, a clean and biting cold that speaks of immense, inhuman distances. Our journey is not one of fleet ships or roaring engines. It is a journey of the mind, and so we travel with a slowness that matches the landscape. Imagine yourself standing on the prow of an old icebreaker, a vessel of reinforced steel and quiet determination. Its engines a low thrum that feels more like a heartbeat than a machine. 4 weeks, you have sailed north, leaving behind the familiar greens and blues of the temperate world. The sea itself has changed. It has become heavier, a darker shade of sapphire, and it moves with a thick, syrupy lethargy. The first sign of the change was the silence. The cries of gulls and seabirds faded first, leaving only the sound of the wind and the groan of the ship's hull. Then came the ice. At first, they were just fragments, like scattered shards of glass on a dark cloth, glittering in the low, perpetual twilight of the Arctic summer. But they grew in size and number, becoming vast, floating plains of white and pale blue, their edges carved by the water into fantastical shapes. The ship no longer cuts through the waves. It nudges and grinds its way through a solid, shifting world. The sun, when it appears, is a pale disk that hangs low on the horizon, never climbing, never setting, casting long, distorted shadows that stretch for miles across the ice. The air is so clear it feels like a lens, and distances become deceptive. A mountain of ice that seems a stone's throw away might take a full day to reach. But there is something else here, something that defies the crisp clarity of the polar air. It is a wall. A bank of fog, dense and unmoving, that stretches from one end of the horizon to the other. It is not the drifting, ethereal mist of a coastline. It is a solid, pearlescent barrier, a curtain that seems to absorb all sound and light. This is the Veil of Silentia. For centuries, explorers have noted it, this strange, persistent weather phenomenon. They called it the Great Northern Smog, the White Labyrinth. Compasses spin erratically near it, their magnetic needles dancing in confusion. Early satellite images showed it as a persistent cloud anomaly, a weather system that never dissipated, and so it was dismissed, mapped as a permanent region of impenetrable fog and treacherous, shifting ice fields. No one ever tried to pass through it. The risk was too great, the reward unknown. It was easier to chart the clear waters around it, to assume nothing lay beyond but more of the same frozen ocean. It became a cartographic footnote, a place to be avoided. But we are not avoiding it. Our vessel pushes forward, its reinforced bow pressing into the edge of the mists. The transition is not gradual. One moment, you are in the clear, sharp world of ice and pale sun. The next, you are swallowed. The world dissolves into a uniform, luminous grey. The horizon vanishes. The distinction between sea and sky, ice and air, disappears. There is only the soft, diffuse light of the fog. The cold deepens, and a profound silence descends, broken only by the muffled groan of the ship's hull and the ghostly, percussive crack of unseen icebergs. Navigation becomes an act of faith. GPS signals flicker and die. The magnetic compass is useless. The crew navigates by instinct, by the subtle shifts in the current, by the sound of the ice groaning beneath them. It feels as if you have entered a space between worlds, a place where the normal laws of physics have been gently suspended. Days pass in this grey, timeless limbo. The rhythmic pulse of the engine is the only clock. You lose all sense of direction, all sense of progress. It is an experience of profound disorientation, a stripping away of the familiar anchors of perception. This, perhaps, is the continent's first and most powerful defense, not a wall of ice, but a wall of sensory deprivation. It does not repel you with force, it simply makes you lose your way, turning you back on yourself until you retreat to the known world, grateful for the simple certainties of a horizon and a reliable north. But we press on, guided by the quiet conviction that something lies beyond. And then, one day, a change. A subtle shift in the air. A new sound, carried on the wind, a low, resonant humming, almost too deep to be heard, felt more as a vibration in the bones. The fog begins to thin, not all at once, but in wisps and tendrils, revealing brief, tantalizing glimpses of something dark and solid in the distance. The ship groans as it scrapes against something immense, something that is not floating ice, but grounded, solid land. A shadow emerges from the luminous grey, a form of impossible scale. It is a coastline. A sheer cliff of black, volcanic rock, laced with veins of ancient, blue ice, rising vertically from a sea. It is the shore of a forgotten world. The ship glides into a narrow, sheltered fjord, a crack in the immense coastal wall. The water here is unnaturally still and black, reflecting the towering cliffs with a perfect, glassy clarity. The fog has finally pulled back, revealing a sky of the deepest, most luminous indigo you have ever seen. The air is thin and cold, yet it carries a strange, clean scent, like ozone and wet stone and something else, something ancient and vaguely organic, like the smell of deep, undisturbed earth. This is the shore of Silentia. There are no beaches, no gentle slopes. The land meets the sea with an abrupt and severe finality. The cliffs rise for thousands of feet, their dark rock a stark contrast to the eternal ice that clings to their faces and fills every crevice. Waterfalls of glacial meltwater, frozen mid-plunge, hang from the precipices like massive, crystalline tapestries. They are silent, unmoving, a testament to the profound and enduring cold. The silence here is not an absence of sound, it is a presence. It is a heavy, weighted quiet that presses in on you, broken only by the distant, mournful groan of a glacier and the soft, rhythmic lapping of the water against the ship's hull. It is the sound of a world without birds, without insects, without the restless chatter of humanity. It is the sound of deep time, of geological processes unfolding at a pace too slow for human ears to register. Your first steps onto the continent are tentative. The ground beneath your feet is not soil, but a fine, black sand mixed with shards of obsidian, smooth and cold to the touch. It crunches under your boots with a sound that seems sacrilegiously loud in the overwhelming stillness. You look up at the cliffs, and the scale of this place begins to truly sink in. You feel impossibly small, an insignificant speck of warmth and life in a realm of cold, monumental grandeur. You are an intruder here, a fleeting anomaly in a land that has known nothing but ice and rock and time for millions of years. As you begin to explore the base of the cliffs, you notice strange formations in the rock. The volcanic basalt is riddled with massive geodes, some as large as a small house. Their rough, dark exteriors are split open, revealing interiors packed with enormous, perfectly formed crystals of quartz and amethyst. They glitter in the low polar light, their facets catching and refracting the indigo sky, casting slow-moving patterns of purple and white light onto the black sand. They look like the exposed hearts of the mountains, their crystalline blood frozen for eternity. The ice, too, is different here. It is not the opaque, white ice of a typical glacier. It is ancient, compressed by its own immense weight over millennia, and it has become as clear as glass, but with a deep, sapphire blue tint. You can look deep into it, down into its frozen depths, where trapped bubbles of air from a forgotten atmosphere form delicate, spiraling patterns. It feels like you are looking back in time, gazing into a frozen record of the planet's distant past. There is life here, but it is subtle, and you must look closely to see it. Clinging to the rocks near the waterline are strange, lichen-like organisms. They are not green, but a deep, velvety black, with phosphorescent blue veins that pulse with a slow, faint light. They seem to feed not on sunlight, but on the minerals of the rock itself, and perhaps on the strange magnetic energies that seem to permeate this land. They are the first hint that the rules of biology, as you know them, might be different in this isolated world. You find a cave, a dark mouth in the cliff face, from which a slow, steady stream of incredibly cold air flows. Stepping inside, you leave the indigo sky behind and enter a realm of absolute darkness and silence. But as your eyes adjust, you see it. The walls of the cave are alive with a soft, green luminescence. It comes from vast colonies of fungi, their delicate, web-like structures covering the stone, pulsing with a gentle, rhythmic light. They illuminate a cavern of breathtaking beauty, revealing stalactites and stalagmites of pure, clear ice, and a frozen river that winds its way into the deep, unknown heart of the continent. This is a world built from darkness, cold, and silence. But it is not dead. It is patient. It is a world that has learned to thrive in the extremes, to find its energy not from a brilliant sun, but from the faint heat of the planet's core, from the strange glow of its own biology, from the slow, inexorable chemistry of rock and ice. Standing on this shore of whispers, you realize that you have not just discovered a new land. You have discovered a new way of being, a different rhythm of life, a testament to the universe's infinite capacity for invention. Leaving the stark grandeur of the coast behind, you venture inland, following the path of the frozen river you discovered in the glowing cave. The landscape begins to change. The sheer cliffs give way to rolling hills of black rock, scoured smooth by ancient winds and draped in thick blankets of the same clear, blue-tinted ice. The terrain is difficult, a maze of sharp-edged obsidian fields and deep, hidden crevasses. But as you climb a high ridge, you see something that makes you stop, your breath catching in your chest. Below you, stretching for miles across a vast, shallow valley, is a forest. But it is a forest of impossible design. From a distance, it looks like a landscape of frosted glass, shimmering under the pale, perpetual twilight. As you draw closer, you understand why. The trees are not made of wood. They are composed of a translucent, silicate material, a kind of natural, organic crystal. Their trunks, thick and smooth, rise from the frozen ground like pillars of quartz, branching out into a delicate, intricate lacework of crystalline boughs and twigs. Instead of leaves, they have thin, flat shards of the same material, which hang from the branches and chime together softly in the wind. The sound is mesmerizing, a constant, gentle, high-pitched music, like 1,000 tiny wind chimes playing a soft, random melody. It is the first complex, continuous sound you have heard on the continent, the voice of the crystalline forest. You walk among these strange trees, your footsteps muffled by a thin layer of snow that has the texture of fine sugar. The light here is magical. The low polar sun, hanging eternally on the horizon, sends its rays through the crystalline canopy. The trees act as prisms, catching the pale light and fracturing it into a million shimmering points of color. The entire forest floor is dappled with slow-moving rainbows and shifting patterns of light, a silent, hypnotic light show that plays out across the snow. It feels like you are walking through the inside of a geode, a world built of light and crystal and sound. You reach out and touch one of the trunks. It is incredibly cold, yet smooth as polished glass. It hums with a faint, almost imperceptible vibration, the same low-frequency resonance you felt when first approaching the continent. It seems these trees are not just passive structures. They are alive, resonating with the very energy of the land itself. You wonder how they grow, how they reproduce. You see no seeds, no flowers. Perhaps they grow unimaginably slowly, extending themselves molecule by molecule over thousands of years, drawing minerals directly from the obsidian-rich soil. Perhaps they are not individuals, but a single, interconnected superorganism, a vast, crystalline network sharing energy and information through the frozen ground. There is life here, nestled within the crystal boughs. You spot a creature, small and furry, clinging to a branch. It has a body like a lemur, covered in thick, snow-white fur, and a long, bushy tail. But its most striking feature is its eyes. They are enormous, luminous silver orbs that seem to take up half of its face, perfectly adapted for gathering the faint, fractured light of the forest. It watches you with a calm, unnerving intelligence, its head tilted, before it leaps with impossible grace from one crystal branch to another, its claws making no sound on the glass-like surface. These are the children of the forest, perfectly evolved for this strange, shimmering world. You see other signs of life. Delicate, web-like structures spun between the branches, not from silk, but from fine strands of ice, which glitter like diamond dust. They are not spiderwebs, but perhaps a kind of crystalline mold, or the cocoons of some unknown insectoid creature. On the forest floor, in the shadows of the crystal trunks, you find strange, spiraling fungi that glow with a soft, purple light, their caps shaped like perfect, intricate snowflakes. Everything here is a variation on a theme of crystal, light, and cold. It is an ecosystem born of geology as much as biology, a place where the line between living and non-living seems beautifully, poetically blurred. You spend what feels like days wandering through this endless, chiming forest. The constant, gentle music and the shifting, hypnotic light begin to affect your sense of time. The world slows down. Your thoughts become clearer, calmer. The forest seems to invite a meditative state, a deep and quiet contemplation. You realize that this place is not just a biological curiosity, it is a sanctuary. Its beauty is a shield, its music a lullaby. It is a world that has evolved not for struggle and competition, but for patience, for harmony, for the quiet, slow appreciation of light and sound. It is a living piece of music, a symphony of crystal played over millennia, and you are privileged, for a brief moment, to walk its aisles and listen to its song. Your journey continues, leading you out of the mesmerizing, chiming light of the crystalline forest and into a region of vast, rolling ice fields. The landscape becomes a study in minimalism, an endless expanse of white and blue under the unchanging indigo sky. The world feels immense, empty, a place where any single life form seems like a profound anomaly. The cold deepens, a dry, absolute cold that leaches the warmth from your body with an unyielding patience. It seems impossible that any complex life could survive here. But Silentia is a land of contrasts, a world of hidden secrets. As you traverse a high, windswept plateau, you notice a strange phenomenon on the horizon. A plume of white vapor, rising into the cold, still air. It is not a cloud, and it is not blowing snow. It is steam. Intrigued, you change your course, moving towards this impossible sign of warmth. The journey takes you down into a deep, winding canyon, its walls carved not by water, but by the slow, grinding movement of an ancient glacier. As you descend, the air begins to change. The biting cold lessens, replaced by a gentle, humid warmth. The ice on the canyon walls thins, and patches of the dark volcanic rock are exposed, steaming gently. And then you hear it, the impossible sound of running water. You round a final bend and the canyon opens up into a vast, circular valley, a sunken world hidden from the frozen plains above. And it is alive. This is a geothermal oasis, a lost world warmed from below by the planet's own internal fire. The valley floor is a tapestry of strange, vibrant life. There is no green here. The concept of chlorophyll, born of a brighter sun, is alien to this place. Instead, the vegetation glows with its own internal light. The ground is covered in a thick, spongy moss that pulses with a soft, orange luminescence, its warmth radiating into the air. Strange, tree-like fungi, 20 feet tall, spread their wide, umbrella-like caps, their undersides coated in bioluminescent bacteria that cast a gentle, blue-green light onto the valley floor. The air is warm and thick with the scent of damp earth, sulfur, and a sweet, floral aroma you cannot identify. A river of genuinely hot water winds through the valley, its banks lined with smooth, black stones and strange, resilient ferns that unfurl in the steam. The water itself is a milky blue, rich with dissolved minerals from the planet's depths. This is the heart of Silentia, the source of its hidden vitality. And it is here that you finally encounter the continent's larger inhabitants. Grazing peacefully on the glowing moss are creatures of immense size and profound gentleness. From a distance, They look something like a cross between a woolly mammoth and a giant sloth. They are covered in thick, shaggy white fur, and they move with an incredible, dreamlike slowness. They have not 4 legs, but 6, short and powerful, giving them a low, stable center of gravity. Their heads are small for their massive bodies, and they have no visible eyes. Instead, 2 long, feathery antennae sweep the air before them, sensing the subtle changes in temperature and vibration. They are the gentle giants of this hidden world, the keepers of the warm valley. You watch them for hours. They move with a deliberate, unhurried grace, their actions seeming less like conscious decisions and more like a slow, inevitable dance with the landscape itself. They do not compete or fight. There are no predators here. The valley is a perfect, self-contained ecosystem, a haven of peace and stability. The concept of fear seems to be as alien to this place as the color green. These creatures, you realize, are unimaginably ancient. Their slow metabolism, their gentle nature, their perfect adaptation to this stable, unchanging environment suggests that their species has existed, much as they are now, for millions of years. They are living fossils, survivors from an era of the Earth's history that the rest of the world has long since forgotten. They are a testament to a different evolutionary path, one that valued patience over speed, cooperation over conflict, and slowness over frantic activity. Sitting on a warm, steaming rock, watching the 6-legged grazers move through the glowing fungi, you feel a sense of profound peace. This valley is a paradox. It is a cradle of life, yet it is nestled in the heart of the coldest, most desolate continent on Earth. It is a world of warmth and light, hidden beneath a sky of perpetual twilight. It is a lesson in the tenacity of life, in its ability to find a foothold in the most unlikely of places. Life does not always need a brilliant sun or a temperate climate. Sometimes, all it needs is a little warmth from below, a little pocket of stability, a chance to unfold at its own, slow, and beautiful pace. This hidden oasis is the secret pulse of Silentia, a warm and beating heart beneath a shell of impenetrable ice. Leaving the gentle warmth of the geothermal valley is like stepping out of a dream and back into a stark, cold reality. You begin an ascent, moving from the lowlands towards the continent's interior, where a vast range of mountains looms against the dark sky. The journey upwards is slow and arduous. The air thins, and the cold returns with a renewed, piercing intensity. The landscape becomes more severe, more jagged, a chaotic realm of shattered rock and ancient, grinding glacier. These are not the rounded, weathered mountains of other continents. These are young, violent peaks, born of the same volcanic forces that warmed the hidden valleys. They are spires of black obsidian and dark grey basalt, so sharp and sheer they seem to tear at the sky. They are mountains of glass and night. Their slopes are not covered in soil or scree, but in vast, treacherous fields of obsidian shards, which clink and shift under your feet with a sound like breaking glass. Glacier, black with volcanic dust, flow down their sides like rivers of frozen tar. The wind howls through the high passes, a relentless, scouring force that has polished the rock faces to a mirror-like sheen. As you climb, the world seems to be stripped down to its barest elements: black rock, white ice, and the deep indigo of the sky. There is a terrifying beauty in this severity. It is a landscape that makes no concessions to life. It is elemental, raw, and utterly indifferent. Yet, even here, there are wonders to be found. In the sheltered lee of a massive obsidian cliff, you find an ice cave. The entrance is a narrow fissure, but it opens up into a cavern of impossible size. The walls, the ceiling, the floor, everything is ice. But it is an ice so ancient and so compressed that it has become perfectly, flawlessly transparent. It is like standing in a cathedral carved from a single, enormous diamond. And trapped within this crystal-clear ice are the ghosts of a bygone era. You see them perfectly preserved, strange, fern-like plants with intricate, fractal patterns, creatures like giant, armored trilobites, the delicate, fossilized skeletons of unknown marine animals from a time when a warm ocean covered this land. It is a museum of prehistory, curated by the patient, absolute cold. You are looking through a window millions of years into the past, a silent, frozen aquarium of life forms that have vanished from the rest of the planet. Higher still, you reach a pass, a narrow saddle between 2 jagged peaks. The wind is ferocious here, but the view is staggering. You can see across the spine of the continent, across a sea of black, broken peaks that stretches to the horizon. And you can see the sky. With the thin, pure air and the almost total lack of light pollution, the heavens are revealed in a way you have never experienced. The stars do not twinkle, They are hard, steady points of brilliant light, burning with an intense, cold fire. The Milky Way is not a faint, milky smudge. It is a vast, luminous river of dust and stars, so bright and clear that it seems to cast its own faint shadows on the snow. And then there is the aurora. Here, at the planet's magnetic pole, the aurora borealis is not a distant, shimmering curtain on the horizon. It is everywhere. It is a living, breathing presence that fills the entire sky. Vast, silent rivers of green, purple, and crimson light flow from one end of the heavens to the other. They are not high and remote. They seem to be just overhead, so close you feel you could reach out and touch their ethereal, dancing forms. They cascade down the sides of the obsidian mountains, their light reflecting off the polished rock and the clear ice, bathing the entire landscape in a slow, silent symphony of moving color. You feel as if you are standing on the very roof of the world, at a place where the boundary between Earth and space becomes thin and permeable. The solar wind, made visible, is washing over the planet, and you are a witness to this immense, cosmic transaction. The mountains of glass and night are a place of profound and humbling perspective. They remind you of your own fragility, your own transience. But they also connect you to something vast and eternal. In their sharp, dark beauty, you see the raw power of the planet's creation. In the frozen fossils within the ice, you see the deep, unbroken chain of life. And in the celestial light show above, you see your world's place in the grand, silent dance of the cosmos. It is a cold, hard, and unforgiving beauty, but it is a beauty that speaks the truth of the universe. From the high, wind-scoured peaks of the Central Mountain Range, your journey takes you down onto the great interior plateau. This is the heart of Silentia, a vast, flat expanse larger than any desert on Earth, covered by a single, continuous sheet of ice. This is the Great Glacier, the ice cap of the forgotten continent. At first, it seems to be a place of utter monotony, a perfectly flat, white plain stretching to an infinitely distant horizon. The sky above is a constant, deep violet, and the only features are the long, faint shadows cast by the low-hanging sun and the subtle, wave-like ridges, called sastrugi, carved into the snow by the relentless wind. The silence here is absolute, a pressure on the ears. The cold is a physical presence, a thing that has weight and substance. To stand in the center of this ice cap is to experience a sense underscore of isolation so profound it borders on the sublime. You are the only vertical object in a horizontal world, the only point of complexity in a landscape of radical simplicity. Time itself seems to have frozen here. There is no day or night, only the slow, circular procession of the pale sun around the horizon. There are no landmarks to measure your progress against. You could walk for a week in a straight line and feel as if you have not moved at all. It is a place that can unmoor the mind, a perfect white canvas onto which your own consciousness is projected. But like every other part of Silentia, the Great Glacier has a secret hidden beneath its simple, austere surface. You have brought with you a new kind of technology, a form of ground-penetrating radar that can see deep beneath the ice. You deploy it, and on your screen, a hidden world resolves out of the static. The ice sheet, you discover, is over 3 miles thick. And at its very base, where the immense pressure of the ice meets the faint geothermal warmth of the planet's crust, there is liquid. A vast, interconnected network of lakes and rivers, a secret hydrosphere locked away from the surface world for millions of years. You focus on one of the largest signals, a channel that seems to run for hundreds of miles beneath your feet. It is a river, a hidden artery for the continent. You can almost imagine it in your mind's eye. A river of supercooled, perfectly pure water, flowing slowly and silently in absolute darkness, under the weight of a world. Its bed is the smooth, black volcanic rock of the continent's foundation. Its ceiling is the underside of the glacier, a ceiling of shimmering, clear ice. The only light would be the faint, blue-green glow of bioluminescent microbes, ancient forms of life that have evolved to thrive in this high-pressure, zero-light, nutrient-poor environment. What would it be like to travel this river? To float in a submersible through this hidden, internal world? You would be moving through the veins of the continent itself. The pressure outside would be immense, capable of crushing steel. The silence would be deeper than any silence on the surface. The only sound would be the slow, deep groan of the ice above, a constant reminder of the crushing weight of the world you have left behind. Perhaps there is other life down there, in the deep, dark water. Not the gentle, six-legged grazers of the warm valleys, but something else entirely. Creatures evolved from those ancient microbes, adapted to a life of utter darkness and immense pressure. Perhaps there are slow-moving, gelatinous things that feed on the mineral-rich silt of the riverbed. Perhaps there are blind, pale predators that hunt by sensing the faint electrical fields of their prey. It would be an ecosystem as alien as anything one might find on another planet, a second genesis of life, hidden and parallel to our own. This hidden river changes your perception of the glacier. It is no longer a dead, static mass of ice. It is a dynamic system. It is the continent's lifeblood, its circulatory system, slowly carrying minerals and heat from the planet's core out towards the sea. The glacier breathes, it moves, it flows, but on a timescale so vast it is almost impossible to comprehend. The ice at the center, where you stand, may have fallen as snow hundreds of thousands of years ago. The water at its base may not have seen the sky for 1,000,000 years. Standing on this vast, simple, silent plain, you are connected to a process of immense and patient power. The Great Glacier is the continent's memory, its frozen archive. And the river beneath is its secret, hidden soul, a flow of life and energy that persists even under the most extreme and crushing of circumstances. It is a powerful reminder that even in places that seem utterly barren, a deeper, hidden dynamism is always at work. After weeks of travel across the vast, minimalist landscape of the Great Glacier, you are drawn towards a subtle anomaly, a place where the ice seems thinner, and the deep radar shows a strange convergence of the subglacial rivers. You find yourself on the edge of a great, circular depression, a basin many miles across, as if a meteorite struck here in the distant past. The wind has scoured the ice clean, and you can see down into its blue depths. But what is most strange is the sound. The low, resonant hum that you first heard on your approach to the continent is stronger here than anywhere else. It is a deep, pure tone that seems to originate from the very ice beneath your feet. You venture into the basin, spiraling down into its center. The ice here is different. It is filled with strange, geometric patterns, intricate, web-like structures that look like frozen nerve cells or the crystalline ghosts of enormous, fractal trees. As you reach the bottom of the basin, you find a series of caves, melted into the base of the glacier by a source of geothermal heat. The air inside is still and not as cold as the surface. The humming is louder now, a constant, soothing vibration that permeates everything. You follow the sound deep into the cavern system, your headlamp cutting a sharp beam through the darkness. The caves are a labyrinth of ice tunnels, their walls smooth and polished, as if by flowing water. And then you enter a cavern so large that your light cannot find its walls. You are standing on a wide ledge, looking out into a vast, dark space. But it is not empty. As your eyes adjust, you realize the humming is coming from the center of this immense chamber. And there, suspended in the darkness, seemingly floating, is a perfect sphere. It is colossal, perhaps a mile in diameter, and it is made of a strange, dark, crystalline material that seems to absorb the light from your lamp. It is the source of the sound, a deep, resonant OM that is the very heartbeat of Silentia. You stand in stunned silence, gazing at this impossible object. It is too perfect, too symmetrical, to be a natural formation. Yet there are no signs of tool marks, no evidence of construction. It seems to have grown here, a geological anomaly of such profound strangeness that it defies all explanation. As you stare at it, you notice something else. The surface of the sphere is not entirely smooth. It is covered in a pattern of faint, glowing lines, a complex, geometric lattice that slowly shifts and reconfigures. It looks like a circuit board the size of a mountain, or a map of an unknown cosmos. And on the walls of the cavern around you, you see something that chills you to your core. Carved into the ice are diagrams. They are not the primitive drawings of animals or hunters found in ancient caves on other continents. These are complex, elegant schematics. You see a perfect, detailed rendering of a double helix, the structure of DNA. You see a diagram showing the process of cellular mitosis, flawless in its accuracy. You see star charts, but they show the constellations as they would have appeared from Earth millions of years ago. You see equations, written in a language of pure geometry, that seem to describe the fundamental forces of physics. This is the soft, terrifying reveal. This is the echo of a forgotten past. But whose past? There are no ruins, no bones, no artifacts. Only this colossal, humming sphere and these impossible, beautiful diagrams, etched into the ice by some unknown process. Was there a civilization here, in the impossibly distant past? A race of beings that evolved in the hidden warmth of the geothermal vents, a people of the dark who understood the very fabric of life and the cosmos? Or is this something else entirely? Could this be a natural phenomenon, a form of planetary intelligence? Could Silentia itself be a kind of organism, a slow, crystalline consciousness, and this sphere its brain, its heart? Are the diagrams not a record of discovery, but a blueprint, the continent's own genetic code, its own understanding of the universe, expressed in the language of mathematics and ice? The mystery is profound and absolute. It offers no easy answers. It only deepens the wonder. This is not a story of a lost kingdom, but something far stranger. It is the story of a lost intelligence, a whisper of a mind so ancient and so alien that we cannot even begin to guess at its nature. The humming sphere does not speak in words, but in vibrations, in mathematics, in pure form. It is a message, perhaps, but one we may never be able to decipher. It is the ultimate secret of Silentia, a quiet enigma that sits in the dark, at the bottom of the world, humming its slow, eternal song. It suggests that the history of intelligence on this planet may be far older, and far stranger, than humanity has ever imagined. Standing in the presence of the humming sphere and the ice-etched diagrams, your perception of the world undergoes a fundamental shift. You begin to contemplate the nature of time itself as it exists in this forgotten place. In the world you came from, time is a frantic, hurried thing. It is measured in seconds, in deadlines, in heartbeats. It is a river that rushes relentlessly forward, carrying everything with it in its chaotic, urgent flow. Our lives are defined by our struggle against it, our attempts to keep up with its breathless pace. We build faster machines, we communicate instantaneously across vast distances, we fill every moment with activity, all in a desperate attempt to conquer or control the passage of time. But here, in Silentia, time is different. It is not a rushing river, but a slow, deep, glacial force. It is measured in the growth of a crystal, in the erosion of a mountain by wind, in the patient journey of a snowflake from the sky to the deep, compressed ice of the glacier. Here, 1,000 years is but a moment, a single, slow breath. The six-legged grazers in the warm valley live for millennia, their movements so slow they appear to be statues to a human observer. The crystalline trees may take 10,000 years to grow a single new branch. The humming sphere in the cavern has likely been resonating its single, low note since before the continents of Earth took their present shape. This is a world that operates on a geological timescale, and to be here is to be humbled by the sheer depth and patience of it. You realize that Silentia was not forgotten by the world. That implies a carelessness on the part of the observer. Rather, Silentia is indifferent to the world. It exists on a plane of time so radically different from our own that it simply never intersected with our frantic, fleeting history. We, with our short lives and our hurried explorations, were a brief flash of lightning in its long, slow, perpetual twilight. We looked at our maps and saw a blank space, but the blankness was in our perception, not on the planet. We failed to see it because we were moving too fast. This profound slowness changes everything. It reframes the very concept of intelligence. The mind that etched the diagrams on the ice wall was not a mind like ours. It would not have valued speed of thought or quickness of calculation. It would have been a mind that was slow, deep, and contemplative, a mind that could spend a century considering a single equation, a millennium observing the slow dance of the stars. It would have been an intelligence born of patience, of deep listening, of a perfect and harmonious relationship with the slow rhythms of the planet. Perhaps the humming sphere is not a machine, but a meditative device, a tool for focusing a slow consciousness, for attuning it to the deep, resonant frequencies of the cosmos. This perspective offers a strange kind of peace. The anxieties and urgencies of your own world begin to seem small and insignificant when viewed against the backdrop of deep time. The frantic pace of human progress, which seems so all-important, is revealed to be a tiny, ephemeral ripple on the surface of a vast, slow-moving ocean. Silentia teaches a different set of values. It values stillness over movement, silence over noise, patience over ambition. It suggests that there is a profound wisdom in slowness, a deep understanding that can only be reached when one is willing to wait, to watch, and to listen for a very, very long time. As you prepare to leave the cavern of the sphere, you feel a sense of gratitude. You have not conquered this continent. You have not even truly understood it. You have simply been allowed to be a guest here, to witness its slow, quiet, and beautiful existence. You have been given a glimpse into a different way of being, a different way of thinking, a different way of measuring a life. The continent has not given you answers, but it has given you a much better question. What if the purpose of life is not to rush towards a destination, but to simply be present, to slow down enough to feel the deep, slow heartbeat of the world itself? This is the ultimate lesson of Silentia. It is a sanctuary not just of strange life and beautiful landscapes, but of a forgotten and desperately needed pace, a quiet and patient tempo in the frantic symphony of the modern world. The journey back is a mirror image of the journey in, yet it feels entirely different. You are no longer moving towards a mystery, but away from a profound revelation. As your vessel pulls away from the black, silent shores of Silentia, you stand on the deck, watching the cliffs of ice and obsidian recede until they are just a dark line on the horizon. The continent does not seem to bid you farewell. It is as indifferent to your departure as it was to your arrival. It simply is, and will continue to be, long after you are gone. The wall of fog, the continent's shimmering, pearlescent veil, closes in behind the ship. Once again, you are in the luminous, grey limbo, a world without horizons or direction. But this time, the disorientation does not feel threatening. It feels like a gentle transition, a slow decompression, allowing your mind to process the immense and strange beauty of what you have seen. The ship's engine is a steady, rhythmic pulse, carrying you back to a world you once thought you knew completely. You think of the globe you pictured at the start of this journey, that familiar sphere of blue and green and brown. It will never look the same to you again. The blank space at the top is no longer empty. It is filled now with the memory of impossible things, the sound of a forest made of crystal, the sight of gentle, six-eyed creatures grazing on glowing moss, the feel of a deep, resonant hum that is the planet's own quiet song. You have brought back no photographs, no samples, no proof. The world you are returning to will not believe you. Silentia will remain a cartographic anomaly, a persistent cloud formation, a myth. And perhaps that is for the best. This is not a continent to be exploited, to be mined, to be colonized. Its value is not in its resources, but in its existence as a place apart, a sanctuary of slowness and silence. It is a secret the planet has kept, and it is a secret that you now share. Its discovery is not one that should be announced on news channels, but one that should be held quietly in the heart, a personal and transformative understanding. The fog finally breaks, and you see the first familiar sign of your world, a distant, jagged iceberg, its form mundane and recognizable compared to the wonders you have witnessed. The sea returns to its normal color. The sky brightens. And then, you hear it, the cry of a single gull, a sound so normal and yet so startling after the profound silence you have become accustomed to. You are back. But you are not the same. You carry within you the knowledge that the world is larger, stranger, and more beautiful than you had ever imagined. You have learned that the greatest discoveries are not always about finding something new, but about learning to see the world with new eyes, with a new sense of wonder and a new appreciation for the power of the unknown. Silentia exists, not as a place you can point to on a map, but as an idea, a possibility space that has now been opened in your mind. It is a symbol of all the mysteries we have yet to uncover, both in the world around us and in the deep, uncharted territories of ourselves. It is a reminder that for all our knowledge, for all our technology, we are still just children on the shore of a vast and mysterious cosmic ocean. As you feel the familiar rhythm of your own world begin to settle around you once more, you hold onto the quiet of the forgotten continent. You hold onto its slowness. You hold onto the image of the great, humming sphere, a symbol of a deep and patient intelligence. The journey is over, but its echoes will remain. The concept of this forgotten land has been resolved, not by adding it to our maps, but by adding it to our imagination. There is a deep philosophical peace in this, a recognition that some places are most powerful when they remain just beyond our reach, as perfect, untouchable ideas. And in that, there is a profound emotional closure, a sense of having been given a great and beautiful gift. The gift of wonder. The gift of a world made new again. And so, as our journey concludes, you can let the image of Silentia fade, gently, like a dream upon waking. But do not let go of the feeling it gave you. Carry its peace and its patience with you. Let the world you inhabit be a little larger, a little more mysterious, and a little more beautiful than it was before. Settle back into the quiet of your own space, and rest now, with the gentle hum of a forgotten continent as a soft and distant lullaby.